Welcome to Bothering the Band. My name is Ryan Bynack. With me, as always, is Abigail Ann Levy. And I know I say this all the time, but this episode is special. It's with Jay and Eon of the fantastic band Bedouin Soundclash, who has, shaped our life for a very long time. So this is a pure honor, and it is so much fun. Ladies and gentlemen, Bothering the Band with Jay and Eon of Bedouin Soundclash. Welcome to Bothering the Band. Thank you so much for doing this. My name's Ryan. This is Abby. Not to give you too big a head. We've been fans of yours for 20 years. This is a dream come true. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank
you. Yeah, thank
you. Thanks for having us.
And I'll do my best to kind of orchestrate, address, we got questions for both of you. We have some music questions. You can both chime in. There are no rules on Bothering the Band. We were just proclaiming our love of Canadian music, which seems
are
to
you
be
based, Are you based in Orlando?
I am not based in Orlando. I am in Florida, but
Okay.
Abby and I grew up in Orlando.
Oh, nice.
I am a big Orlando Magic fan.
Where did we played our tour? One of our worst tours didn't end in Orlando. It ended in Jacksonville. But where did we play with Streetlight Manifesto in Orlando? Eon, can you remember? It was some strange
venue, but yeah. Oh, where was that? Oh, that was
the Social back booth.
Yeah. Social sounds right.
It's like the Social.
Maybe?
Yeah, I was
that sounds about right, I think.
When you walk in, the stage is on the left, and there's a dip, just before in front of the stage, right? Is that right, Abby?
Yes.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I played. Oh my God! And I did something with Chuck Reagan there. That's so weird. Anyway, okay, continue on. Let's just forget. Or my experiences in Orlando are random and don't make any sense.
Are you guys sports fans? I know, Eon, you're into football, soccer, as we dumb Americans call it.
Well, I wouldn't call you guys dumb Americans, but yeah, I definitely love football. I do like sports. I actually, one of my friends invited me to see the Raptors play OKC tonight in Toronto. So that's just a testament to how much more I love Bothering the Band. I said no. I was like, this is much more important than going to see Shy, which would have been a really cool game, but that's for another time. But
I would have blown you off for basketball tickets. I'm just going to say that.
Good to know. Good to know. Next time I will keep that in mind if this happens. But no, I honestly used to follow ball a lot more when I was younger. Probably in what I guess you guys might consider your heyday with Penny and Shaq. And during that period, I was definitely a lot more into basketball than I am now. But yeah, football is the main thing that I follow, and I still play. I actually have a match tonight after this interview. So yeah, that's how deep I roll with the football.
Very cool. Jay, do you follow sports?
I do at times. When I was younger, the same era, kind of the Michael Jordan, Muggsy Bogues. I'm trying to think of play when I was Muggsy Bogues. Big fucking deal up in Canada, in Vancouver. Well, we had, when the Grizzlies were a Vancouver basketball team. I've kind of, basketball, if it's around, I'm always fine, but I don't seek it out. If I gravitate to any bigger sport, it would be soccer for sure. Mm-hmm. As I've gotten older, though, I've kind of I find watching I'll watch. Actually, I love American football. To be honest, I love watching.
Tennis too.
But I'm thinking the sports that I'm actually into would be tennis and squash. I played a lot of squash as a kid, so but no one. I don't bring these sports up because I'm getting more and more. I'm not going to say just no one cares about those sports. So the more sport.
I honestly thought squash was just for finance men in New York so they could like talk business while doing something.
It is.
To be honest, I did not realize anybody under the age of 60 played squash.
You can't play. The crazy part is you can't. Yeah, there are many who play over 60, but literally, I don't know. You can't really play. The sport is so aggressively hard on your body. I was just talking to someone that played professionally, and they're like, it's like you can't play at past 35. I feel like so. I actually stopped playing.
My experience is, you know, bad 80s movies. And
Yeah.
But that's actually true. So there's two parts of it. It's like if you're gonna, I was talking to this guy who actually was a world number one for 10 years. He was a Canadian player, and he's like, the problem with squash is like it has that reputation, but also you make absolutely no money when you're like the world number. Like you could be like the Federer of squash, and you, which this guy kind of was. He's more of a John McEnroe actually, and you make literally
He's
nothing.
like getting mad. He's playing squash and like cursing a bunch.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah, but his friends
Sure.
are fucking. Can I swear on this? His friends
Yes,
are fucking
yeah,
rich.
absolutely.
Like they're like the people who like do the real estate deals for Walmart and like, you know, like, so you're right. That's the comparison is you're a poor person who plays like with all your friends super wealthy and all want to brag they play with you. I was never in that class of, I want to put out there. No, I'm not in that class of player.
That's how I feel about tennis. I grew up playing tennis. I played in high school, but I was like the poor kid on the thing. So I was handing me down rackets.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
only one racket too. I had to have like one racket for the whole season. So I
Yeah.
couldn't,
Yeah.
you know, it was a kind of a good thing. I couldn't get mad. I couldn't smash it.
Yeah.
It's
a highly, you know what, squash is a bit better, but tennis especially is such an individual, like confrontational sport where you're not really, there's no team. It's just you against somebody else. Like it's a head game. Like it's like, I'd say like golf in the same way. Like the mental strength you have to have, I feel is like with tennis, especially and golf, I feel it's really hard. Such small margins, and you can get in someone's head, and it's can be over such a long period of time. So anyway,
are you both competitive? Let's let this natural segue there.
I mean, naturally, I don't really feel competitive. I mean, when I'm playing a sport, I definitely want to do the best I can. But you know, in all honesty, like I understand the winning and the losing part of it. You know what I mean? Like I've been on both sides of it, and it's fine. Like I don't really get super upset if I lose. I kind of understand that. So I guess I don't think many people would say I'm super competitive in that way, but I guess I'd probably be more competitive playing like Scrabble or something than sport.
I'm right there with you 100%. I play in a basketball league every Sunday, and these guys are like, I'm 40. These guys are like anywhere between 30 and 50, and they're getting so mad. And I just always say, I'm like, are you getting paid? Because I'm not.
Right. Exactly.
You know? However, if I played like Scrabble with you guys, and I wouldn't get competitive against you, but if I messed up, I'd be like, bastard, you know, I'd be mad at myself.
That's me, exactly. I'd be like, I should have known that word, or why didn't I play the triple word score or whatever? So yeah.
Oh man, Jay, are you throwing rackets?
Yeah, no. I'm not competitive. My dad would always get mad because I'm not competitive with the things that matter to him, right? Whether it's like a sport, like he's really into sports. So he'd be like, why don't you care if you win? Remember when I used to play tournaments? But like, I'm like, I just don't care. Right. But if it's something that's non-competitive, I'm super competitive.
Right.
So like I got really obsessive with like, and it's usually hard on myself, like, but obsessive with like art and music and things that you really don't compete in. But I would become like myopically focused on those things. And I usually direct it at myself. It goes inward. I don't direct it at other people. But I am competitive for sure. Yeah. I was saying that I think that, you know, I don't know how many professional athletes come. I mean, there are some, right? But how many professional athletes come from privileged homes, in the sense where like they have a loving family? And I mean, privilege is in like, not just like anything to do with money, but like loving homes that are like, there's nothing missing. I feel like there has to, you kind of, actually, you might be able to say this about really, really successful musicians too. There's a piece missing. You're like, I need to get on stage. I need you to love me. I need you to, or I need to beat you at this, or else I'm not good enough. If I don't beat you, it says something, that kind of attitude. Yeah, I definitely don't have it. When I was talking to, I was watching, I went to the Rogers Cup in Toronto, which is like the ATP stop. And I was sitting there with a guy who used to play professional, and the way he like describing what he saw in the game was so fucking different from what I was seeing. Like the mindset is so different. It was just so ruthless and savage that I enjoy. If I'm going to play something, I want to enjoy it. I don't want to just crush someone.
It's like if you ever went to it, like if you see a movie with it. I just had this today. A friend of mine, we were talking about the new Spielberg film, The Fabelmans, and he's an actor in LA. Okay. And I was like, I loved it. It really hit my heart, And he's like, no, the acting was, and he like picked it apart. And I was like, I still like it. It's good, but I don't see what he sees.
But that's true of that's true of every, if you see someone else's podcast now, do you go, now that you know how the sausage is made, you're like, that transition wasn't that good. I don't know.
No, because we are very aside. If it weren't for, yeah. So,
okay. Yeah. 50% says yes.
There you go.
Well, it's more like 85%. I just talk and try to fill the air, man.
You're 15% of this.
Yeah, dude. She does the most. She's the one, when I don't know anything about this. These aren't even plugged in.
Nice.
Working.
So you're the competitive, we asked, and then I have to ask, this is definitely for Abby up here. Do you get road rage?
Yeah.
Do Canadians get road rage? Because often we have a lot of Canadians on this, and you're very that is a good stereotype, that you're polite. You wait for my dumbass to stop talking. Yeah. Do you get road rage? Are you cursing at, like, even in your own world, like not yelling at them, but are you like, check out this motherfucker?
Yeah. Yandi, you said no.
No, I didn't. Well, Ryan just clarified that question in the right way for me to say yes, because I definitely inwardly under my breath will be like, what the fuck? What's this guy doing? Oh, can you believe that? But I'm not the type that would honk or intentionally cut somebody off or give the finger or anything like that. But I definitely I definitely take it inwardly.
That's psycho shit.
There you go. There you go. See?
No. I'm saying what you're doing is very normal and natural. But if you're stopping and giving someone a finger, no, I'm getting her back here, dude. I'm getting her back.
I got you.
I wasn't calling. My bad. I wasn't.
I thought you hit the nail on the head right there.
Let me dig myself out of this hole.
No, it's all good.
No, I'm saying the other part of it. If you make it about the other, roll down your window, give someone the finger, give a long honk, that is real psycho shit.
I think it depends on the situation.
All right, guys, let me fill you in here. There's every day we're discussing the pod and we're excited, and I'm talking to her in the morning, and then she just starts talking, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, what? I'm not doing it. She's like, this check this drive. And I'm like,
yeah. I get that.
I respect that, to be honest.
Yeah, I get that. I
was you know what? I was just in spending more time in LA. I was there last week. And one thing I enjoy about the highway in Los Angeles, and especially, but I feel like in America in general, cars just speed up based on individual needs, not be based on anything. You'll just be driving, and then all of a sudden it just it's like being, it's like Finn's driving cars beside me, and it's like we're in a video game or something. Someone just revs for no reason and tweaks out and rips down the highway, and you're like, what happened? That before they were going the speed limit, and then they just decided the switch was flipped. And you don't see that as much in Canada. That's one thing. True. But on the other hand, I would say you were right when you said that some psycho shit. I would say the psycho shit is this. Being polite can be courteous, but it also masks true, like, you know, a lot of things going on under the surface, which can be psycho. And I think that there's one thing I appreciate about being in the States is you know exactly how people feel all the time. They're not worried to say it. They don't say, like, my favorite thing is, like, it's almost like the more like you can be when you're in like a convenience store, like people just are shouting, and you know, it's different than you really notice it when you get down to like, hey, how much is this? As opposed to like a Canadian would go up to the cash and be like, hey, excuse me, how much is?
Like, can you price check this?
It's like part of the. I interpreted it like as like this fierce individualism, like I'm here, and the way as an American, my right is to just be like, how much is this? Correct.
It's also a little bit of laziness. Like, I don't want to walk that up to the register because if I don't like the price, I'm certainly not going to put it back.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The grass is always greener.
Oh man.
I'm really sounding like an asshole on this podcast today.
Grass.
Okay, so where are you guys at? You're West Coast, both of you?
No.
No, I'm in Toronto, actually.
Oh, that
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'm in Toronto, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the West Coast.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
We love Canada. We gotta, if I can make it to Canada, we're gonna try to get there.
Settle a
Ask him,
debate.
ask him.
I'm going to settle a debate.
Do it. I
We
don't
were
care.
told that somebody from the United States with a DUI is not allowed in Canada. Do you know if that's true or not?
Are you asking for a friend?
Mhm.
I think I don't know. I mean, there was a time when I knew that was the case. I don't know. Things have changed, so I haven't checked into it. But there was a time that was the case. But the last I can remember hearing about that was like early 2000s or 90s. So I don't know. That's going to be my answer. I don't know if you know, Jay, but
I know that it depended. Like, I feel like you could be, like, I have friends who lived in Point Roberts, like, which is just below the border, like into Washington State, but it's sort of in like it's not connected. So, and I remember they would, in high school, they'd get like, you know, if you got caught with weed or something like that. There was a time where it would be like, you're just like red carded, like red flagged, I think is what they called it. But I think if you have a record, you do have a problem, I think.
yeah.
And I'm not, by the way, I'm authority on this subject. But
All right. Jay, how close do you live to Dan Mangan?
pretty close. You know, Dan Mangan lives in Vancouver. I used to live in, I'm from Vancouver. I just saw, where did I see Dan recently? I don't know. Dan is like the, I mean, he's basically the Prime Minister of Canada. Yeah. Now there's a nice guy. You want to talk about a nice guy?
He's so,
You want to
So
talk about
nice.
You want to talk about
Really?
someone who is like quintessentially like represents, I'll say, like the warm blanket of Canadian music. Dan Mangan.
Hold on, I gotta write Dan Mangan, the warm blanket.
We chatted with him and it was literally like,
Please
we've
quote me
done
on that.
over 100 of these and it was literally the most polite,
Yeah,
nicest interview ever.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes
You
total
just like,
sense.
I mean, that's a slice of Canada right there.
So was Kevin Hearn. We just had Kevin Hearn on. Do you know who that is?
Yeah,
I know Kevin. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
he
BNL,
was
yeah.
like, we had all the, you know, because we write the questions based off of research and what we know about the music and stuff like that. And then we had a couple that were dicey, and I was like, I can't ask these. He's so nice. I can't. It's like talking to my like my nice dad who is a pastor now. Like, I just can't do it. So I skipped over like boner questions.
I want you were gonna finally
Yeah.
ask Kevin Hearn the boner question.
He's gonna listen to this.
Everyone's been waiting, right?
Oh man, we're having a good time.
Yeah. Wait. Let me. I hope. How do we rank on the list of Canadian nice musicians? I feel like we're.
You're doing great.
Okay, good. I was
Aside from Eon's road rage. I mean,
Yeah,
I want to like
psychosis, behind the wheel psychosis.
gonna
comes
put
out.
on
Look out,
2 seatbelts.
You know.
Yeah.
Love it.
You know, the racing cars with the seatbelts that go like this, like
Yeah.
Yeah. the whole
a
thing.
car seat. They're like a kid's car seat.
Yep.
That's what I'm gonna wear. We'll stick with some Canada questions. Do you know off the top of your head, can you convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit or back and forth?
No.
No, rough idea, but no, not specifically for
It's
sure.
not like a click.
I know if you say like 80, I know that it's like 20.
Yeah, like
Like-
72 is like 16, 17, something like
Yeah.
that.
I can tell you -40 is the same in both.
Yes, that's I was.
And I
That
can tell you that 3 of these 4 people have probably experienced that temperature. Not so much
Uh-oh.
Ryan.
Not me.
Never had minus
Really?
40.
Not me.
You're
No,
missing
I
out.
mean,
You're missing out.
I've spent time in Canada, in the winter, but it was East Coast and it wasn't that cold, didn't get that. That's pretty dicey. Are you specific about your maple syrup? Like if you came to the States and went to a grocery store, are you a syrup snob?
We have
Not-
toured with people who are.
Yes, that is true.
These
They were
French-
from Quebec.
Yeah, they're French
Mm.
Canadian. They're really the ones.
Yeah.
That you got to watch out for in terms of the maple syrup.
True.
And I just was
Yeah.
very careful with what I said there because that could have been a national disaster.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
I want to be very clear at that was specifically to do with maple syrup.
you're gonna start a francophone fight. You
Yeah.
know,
Finally, they're like
they're like we're seceding again.
Yeah, you don't want none of that. Yeah. You don't want none of that.
I love French Canadians, and so they're very serious about the maple syrup. At least the ones that we knew, and so they would actually carry their own bottle to like
Yes.
we went to. I mean, we could literally even be at a Waffle House or an IHOP, Denny's, wherever, and they would pull out. Where you don't really want to be like looking like you brought your own condiments, like you're that. It
It's
was
like
it was
sneaking
there.
booze into like a baseball game.
I remember the waitress, the
Totally.
waitress or someone would just be like, look at us like, wow, I really thought you Canadians were different. Turns out you're rude as fuck.
No.
No.
Oh,
I try. Okay, fine. You try bringing your own condiments to a restaurant next time you go to a restaurant.
I have a friend that does that with ketchup. And I have been a
Ketchup.
party to the like
How did it
he's-
make?
it's
Yeah.
very awkward because he'll go in and we'll sit down. If there's no ketchup on the table before anything, he's like, what kind of ketchup do you serve? And if it's not Heinz, he's going out to the car to get his own.
Nice. Okay. All right.
And
Well,
it's
that's-
awkward.
let's face facts. If you're serving like Hunts, you should be closed down.
Or
You should-
fancy ketchup.
Oh yeah,
That's
fancy's
the
I've
worst
seen
one.
fancy. I don't think I've seen
Yeah,
that
that's like
one.
the
Fancy.
name. It's like
Yeah. Hunt's ketchup is rare.
Sounds
Hunt's-
untrustworthy.
Yeah.
oh goodness, we're having fun. This is a perfect example of bothering the band. Eon, did you log in to Zoom yesterday? I meant to ask.
Yes, I did. And so did Jay, actually. And I mean, that was not your fault. We kind of crossed some wires with our team. So we thought the interview was yesterday. And so we both kind of logged in. We're like, oh no, there's nobody here. And then
We
we
s-
realized that it was today. So yes, I did.
We saw it and we're like, but when something happens and you're like, wait, did we mess up?
Right.
And so we had to like double check. This is very important to us, honestly.
Just trying to keep you guys on your toes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you definitely
Yeah.
did.
We were that eager to do this.
I definitely did. How do you guys describe your music? Because it's tough.
It's funny because it's the word that actually I think throws people off the most is the reggae part. Because as soon as you say that, it skews into this vein of music that maybe doesn't represent what it is. And that's so we kind of start with bands. Like I'd usually start with like the Clash and the Police. And if people know those two bands, usually know one, but both. It's a good starting place, at least for me. Because if we just leave he and Blippy are having a good time. So yeah, that's where I start. And then we kind of, we've started saying like art, reggae, world music, punk. You know, like if the Talking Heads leaned far more like world music, I don't know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
E, what are you thinking? You got
Yeah.
anything different?
I mean, that's generally the same as I'd say like a mix of, you know, all those things. So I even these days I kind of also say that we're to me just kind of like a like good pop music as opposed to that idea of pop music where people think, you know, Backstreet Boys or Billie Eilish or something. It's like just like a popular, a lot of the songs are written in that same spirit of, you know, that same style, but where we're pulling from is all these different places, but it comes together in a way that a lot of people can access it in a way that popular music's popular, you know? So, but yeah, it's like to me, it's a blend of like, yeah, reggae, soul, punk, a little bit of electronic. We're influenced by a lot of different things. And I think at the end of the day, really, it's just kind of like a lot of what Jay and I, you know, grew up listening to and how we get those things together. So, yeah, but it is tough. It's always been tough for us to kind of describe it. And I think in a way, like, I don't think either of us really want to describe it. It's more like those labels seem to matter more for other people. For us, it's just kind of like, hey, we're making music that matters to us and hopefully matters to you, and that you can enjoy good lyrics and dance to, and you know. So yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
I'm so happy you say it like that because, well, two reasons. One, you could turn on a Bedouin Soundclash record and like each song, if you're not looking at it or if someone doesn't know it, it sounds different each track, which I just, you know, hits. I also think you said pop music now. I think it's easier these days, and tell me if I'm wrong, these days to cross genres than it was like 20, 30 years ago. When I was a kid, it was like even your style.
Yeah.
One thing I wish I could go back in time and tell a young Ryan is it's okay to like, I loved hip hop and I loved punk rock and I loved all these things, but it was like around my hip hop friends. That's when I would get all hip hop, around my punk rock friends. And I'm like, just love it all, you know? And I think you guys are just do you. And
Yeah.
if people like it, great. If not, all good. So
Yeah.
we love it.
I wish there was a way to describe, unlike, I would say this, unlike Jan, I really wish there was a way to describe it quite easily so we didn't have to describe it. People would be like, I envy the bands that can say we're hardcore.
Yeah.
That's great. I wish I could say that. Like, I wish to be like, oh, we're a reggae band. Well, and then, which actually described them. I don't know why. It just seems so, I've always envied that because we always we do end up being on so many different types of festivals and bills. And
Okay, we need to think of a word. We've done this before, right, Abby? I feel like we've named.
Well, I was going to say on the flip side of what Jay was just saying, like, I get that too, where it would be nice to just be like, this is this, and everyone could understand exactly culturally where we're coming from. But I guess one of the bonuses of having so much trouble in describing it is that, like, I feel like there aren't that many bands that can say that they're like us, as opposed to the hardcore bands can say we're all hardcore bands, and there's a camaraderie there, which is nice, and that can be celebrated too. But like, I think that's been part of the funny journey for us is like, yeah, we slid into all these different areas, but we don't neatly fit into any one of them. So it's kind of been like difficult to find those bands that are similar in like fully similar, I would say, you know. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit of the unique part.
yeah.
All right. Now that we got that let's go back to dumb questions.
You know what? Can I just say a random thought about hardcore, which I was just thinking about?
I can't wait. Please.
Okay, here's my thought on hardcore. And this is coming from like you know, like our first two records were produced by Daryl Jennifer of Bad Brains, who arguably, you might say, many do. They were like pioneered the genre with no one else, I guess. But the thing I find really funny about hardcore is it's like this word that's used. So you'll see people in their bios and they'll be in the band they're in now, but they're always were in a hardcore band before, and that gives them cred. But if they actually played the band they were in, it wouldn't sound like a hardcore band. It would be like pop punk or like screamo or something like that, but by putting the word hardcore and you're like, oh, that's cool, and now they're like a folk artist, but they were in a hardcore band before. Like you don't ever know what that hardcore band sounded like, or if they even were in a hardcore band, but somehow by putting it in there, it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, they were like, they didn't give a shit for a while, but now they're really showing that like they not
Their
like
musicality and they're growing.
yeah, and there's not many genres like that where you just like, I was just thinking about that. Like, I should just say, if we like, for example, if me and Eon were like, yeah, they started out as in a hardcore band and now they do Bedouin, it might make a lot more sense to certain people. Like, oh, that's cool. They're like,
I
dude,
hear
they're doing their art
interviewed-
project now. What?
We interviewed somebody recently who was talking about how everybody came from a metal band. He's like, you can
Right,
look on a
okay.
stage and like squint and be like, that drummer was in a metal band, that bassist was in
Yeah,
a metal band,
yeah.
that guy was in this band. Because now they're all playing country music.
Right. But they probably don't put it, but they don't put in their bio that they were in a metal band. Like it, but putting
That's true.
in your bio that you were in a hardcore band doesn't matter. It doesn't even have to describe
It's true.
what, you don't have to tell anyone what band it was. Like former hardcore musician, so and so, now country folk artist, right? And that's like, but it's not, you don't hear former mathcore metal guy now. You'll be like, oh, that kind of sucks. I don't think that's doable for me. But somehow hardcore gives you
former mathcore. I love it.
yeah, whatever. You're
Former
yeah.
dinosaur
he was-
punk. Like,
yeah.
wait, I have a question.
It works for everyone. It works for both. Like it works for
E-
Feist. Like Feist was in a hardcore band. There's a
Right.
Yeah.
and it worked for.
Was it a real hardcore band? E, have you heard him say this before? Have you heard this rant before?
No.
Okay.
I'm literally just riffing off of the casual nature of this thing. It popped into my mind. I thought, why not just put this out into the public sphere right now, straight from the garbage going around in my mind as we do this to your podcast.
Oh, this is fun. We found out yesterday via Instagram that RuPaul was in a glam hardcore band in New York in like the early 80s, but they had footage and it was pretty cool. And I messaged Abigail and I said,
magic. So this is the magic of that word. As soon as you said that, I was like, that sounds really cool.
yeah, it's a
Like, I'm really,
RuPaul.
like, I was like, RuPaul was in a glam hardcore. Like, if you said something else, I don't know. But so it works. It still works on me.
Still works. I was like, well, shit. Now we gotta. I was like, I would love to have RuPaul on the pod. Man, that'd be so cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay,
My mom is a huge RuPaul fan.
your mom is
She's like, every time I talk to her, she's like,
the hardcore music, though. From the
she's just a fan of her early career. Yeah. And the RuPaul drag hour.
early Ru. I love that.
Yeah, really good.
Play your early stuff. Did either of you have a, I don't know how to say it. Favorite is not the right word, but like a lullaby as a child that you've heard, you loved, or your parents that have lasted throughout your life? A lullaby or a nursery rhyme or something like that?
When you say that's lasted my life, like that I still sing to myself, like I've throughout my life.
Well, maybe something like you're when you were a kid, now you're singing to your kid, or
Oh yeah, okay.
retelling,
Go ahead.
I guess, I mean, so I grew up in a very, Christian religious household. My parents are still churchgoers in the Anglican religion. And so I can't really think of necessarily a particular lullaby or nursery rhyme off the top, but they definitely taught us like a prayer that we used to, it was kind of sing-songy, and it was, and so like I'll always remember that. It was like, gentle Jesus, meek and mild, look upon this little child, pity my simplicity, suffer us to come to thee. And then you would say like whatever you were praying about and then say amen at the end of that. So that's the only thing that's immediately leaping to mind for me in that vein.
That's perfect. And it sounds like the beginning of a hardcore song.
Probably a really good one at that, I think.
Yeah.
But you have to do it on like an old-timey voice or like an answering machine, like that.
Ooh,
at the
yeah.
beginning
I
of
get
it.
that greenness. Yeah, I get you. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you guys do a concept album, a hardcore concept album.
Cool. Yeah, like it's true, right? If you said Jesus was in a hardcore band before he did everything, you'd be like, that was really cool. What was that like?
He was. That's why I didn't wear shirts.
That's right. Just little
Grab a
sport
shirt.
shorts.
It's true.
And he didn't work out yet. He had abs. He drank like a 6-pack. Like how come all these hardcore? We could go off on this. I want to know how like all these.
Still sounds cool. The problem is you can break down the matrix of this hardcore thing, and but the fact is that like 30 seconds after I said this, you told me that RuPaul is in a hardcore band, and I literally my brain was like, that is really cool.
That's awesome.
And I know, and it's like it's impossible to break free of this like context of hardcore being the most impressive thing you could have done before the project that you're known for.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it in my bio. I don't even play music.
Yeah, you should. Former hardcore musician starts podcast.
Yeah, it's like writer, former hardcore musician.
Well, okay, think about this.
Yeah.
This is why, but think about it. When you see like there's certain I've seen politicians use it.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Who was it? You have one. Beto. That guy Beto. What's his last? I don't know.
Yeah, Beto O'Rourke.
He was
Yeah.
in a hardcore band in Texas.
We had Jim Ward on the pod. Jim Ward
I
is.
look that up because Abby looks at me like she's like, that's not right.
It sounds believable.
Let me just say, Beto,
He's like skateboarding and shit, and he's
Yeah,
like,
he was-
yeah, hardcore.
make sense.
I feel like
It's
he
like-
was like, and because you know what it makes it seem? It makes it seem like you were like, there's something. Yeah, he was in a hardcore band called Foss.
Boss with an F.
FOSS.
FOSS.
but it was based off of like Bob Fosse plays, like Broadway.
Fosse.
That would be
El
sweet.
Paso.
That would be
That'd be
sweet.
so.
Wow.
That's
Fosse.
super hardcore.
Oh my God, this is actually kind of crazy. At the drive-in, what members of the drive-in were in his band and Mars Volta.
Yeah. So we had Jim Ward on the pod. I don't know if you know who Jim Ward is. He was at the drive-in.
Yeah.
And Sparta, he has his own
Yeah.
stuff. And he's like buddies with him. So this all connects. Beto is a big listener, so I'm sure call in if you're listening. I love that joke. I have had a lot of people, Abby, have you had this? I've had a lot of people today as well ask me if it's live. They're like, what? Because I told a friend of mine in Canada, I was interviewing you guys, and she flipped. She was like, how do I listen? Is it live? And I was like, no, don't you know how podcasts work? Like, it'll be out in a couple weeks.
Right. Yeah, that seems interesting. Would you ever do a live? Would you guys go live?
We have done some live. This is why we're asking the Toronto immigration question. Because we would love to do one in Toronto. We're doing one in Nashville in April next month. We've done LA, New York, Orlando. And yeah, we definitely, it's so much fun. This is definitely the next progression. When we set out, or like last year, beginning of last year, we were like, that was like on our not bucket list, New Year's resolution. We're like, let's do live shows. So Toronto is up there for certain. So
cool.
When we do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Please do. I hope you guys can make that happen. That'd be fun.
Can you sneak me into the country?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say no. I don't know. Maybe.
No. Now we have proof. Okay. Have either of you been actually through a real hurricane?
No. I haven't, to my knowledge.
Now, like when you say like I've been through like remnants of a hurricane, not like a gale force, like where you
Did it have a name? Like, were you in Florida, Texas, anything like that, where you had to hunker down?
I'm gonna say no right now.
Okay. Well, that dumb question doesn't matter. The new record is fantastic, dude.
Thank you.
It's so good. Nonstop rotation. My daughter loves it, and she's she's tough. So
Awesome.
it's like show tunes, Taylor Swift, and Bedouin Soundclash. That's what she's.
That new Taylor
I'm
Swift
saying.
record is very good, I think.
Apparently, she has some new songs coming out tonight
Tonight.
Night.
at midnight. I think they're like new versions of a couple. Is that right? I don't know.
Oh, right. Yeah, she's been kind of re-releasing old catalog stuff. So she's still in that vein because I know the whole
Yeah.
record label situation thing.
I think I saw her posting stuff like that. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan or anything, but just say she's been posting. That's what I was like, what does era mean? She's like talking about. Okay.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Like
It's
I'm
my
like,
era.
she's going back through like eras. I'm like, first of all, I don't know. So
There's some new slang that I'm old. It goes over my head.
I know, but we'll be using it soon.
Yes. By the time it hits me, I'm like, oh, this is done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What are your favorite sounds?
Just like in general, not even musical, just sounds.
Anything. We've gotten like leaves crunching. We've gotten rain. Your child's laughter. Anything like that. It can be music. It can be. There are no
Limitations.
right or wrong answers here. They're just answers.
Good question.
Abby's favorite sound is her car horn. Bam, nailed it. Bringing it all back around. That's a
Well done.
total joke. It's a total joke.
Oh, I know. Oh, what one? Okay, what I would say one sound that I can say I like is I do like the sound of heartbeats. So like sometimes when even if I'm lying on my own chest or something, like just hearing that sound, feeling that sound, or lying on somebody else, listening, even like my nephews and stuff. Sometimes when we're like,
Yeah.
in an embrace or something, like that vibe and that rhythm, there's something about that feels comforting. So
Classic bass player answer. I'm just kidding. I know exactly what you mean. If you ever hugged someone like from behind and you hear their heartbeat like from their back, you're a poet. You're a poetic man. I love it.
Oh wow. I don't know about that. Jay's the real poet here, so I mean now I'm really intrigued to hear what he has to say.
I wasn't good. That's fantastic. I was not going to say heartbeats. I was like, the reason I was like thinking like very, I'm a pretty basic ass person, I guess. I like the sound of the ocean a lot.
There's a reason it is a classic.
Yeah,
that's a great sound.
When you said ocean, I was like, yeah, I do love that sound. There's a sound I put it on a okay, I'm gonna go with two things, and these are from young childhood. We lived across the street from a park. There's the sound in the Pacific Northwest. There's I'm pretty sure this might be ubiquitous in North America, but there's a mountain chickadee that makes this like that sound, and it's only in the morning. I love that sound. I don't know why. It's this.
I know that bird.
Yeah, we all
come here too.
Yeah, so it's all kind of. It's sort of like I remember as a kid, and it reminds me of like Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings. You just hear like, like that. It's like and someone told me because I put it on a record. They're like, "Oh, that's a mountain chickadee." It might be. I'm not sure.
What a bird nerd.
Dude, my nickname was Bird.
The bird nerd. No, the other guy, the other person who was like, "That's a mountain chickadee."
I didn't come on this podcast to be shamed.
Not you, the other guy. No,
I'm not backing down. What's that?
Go ahead. What's the next one?
The other one was because there was this guy who would come into the park in the early morning, and he'd like every so often, like once every 2 weeks or something, and he'd play bagpipes. I love the sound of bagpipes. That's cool. Know what sound it is? Okay, it's the sound. There's two sounds. I'm going to do two of this. It's the sound of an orchestra warming up. The way the bag, when it's getting air, has that like that. It's anticipation sound, and orchestras when they're tuning have that similar vibe to me. I love that in a musical set, in a musical way. That'll be my musical because birds aren't musical. So let me just put that out there too.
I got one. I got another one too, actually. That I think.
Oh, I'm loving
and this is
this.
more. This is more
Yes.
recent, actually, because it took some research. So, yeah, actually, my partner and I were listening to some music the other day, and we're like, "Oh, what's that sound?" It was like kind of like a Brazilian tune. And I was like, "Yeah, I always know that sound." I'm like, "Wow, wow!" Like that kind of like weird kind of. So I was like, "Oh yeah." So we looked it up, and it's called a cuica, which is like the monkey drum. It's like an Afro-Brazilian instrument, and it goes like wow, wow, like that kind of squeaky sound in a lot of Brazilian music. And I'm like, oh, I love that sound. And took some research, like, what is it called? And we're trying to like Google it up, and so I discovered it's called a cuica. And so that's a musical sound that I really like.
Oh, this is fascinating. If at any point you think of more sounds, please throw them out there. I'm not kidding you.
I've got one. I'm just kidding.
I'm not kidding. You think I'm being facetious? I'm not. I think it's this is exactly what we're here for, and I love it. Abby, do you want to chime in? I feel like you probably got a good one.
No,
Grizzly bears and shit.
that's not a good sound. That's a bad sound.
Don't they purr or something? I don't know.
The sound of a man screaming as you cut him off on the highway.
Now they're jumping in on this.
Sound of a man whose dreams have just been crushed as you don't let him in on the shoulder.
That nailed it.
Zone.
There you go.
Not today. Not today. You're going to need to wait again. I love that sound. It's sort of the sound of silence because like there's so much going on behind the glass. That's my favorite sound.
I love it. I love it.
That's awesome.
It's not like a mountain chickadee though. That's
no, but you know what? You could put on your bird sounds or your ocean soundscapes. And you're like, you know what?
Okay. Jay, this question is for you. Do you think farts are funny?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I
think you'd be lying if you thought that they weren't, because
thank you.
Because children, like, it's a universal thing. It's sort of like, okay, it's sort of like a grown man stepping on a rake and being like hit in the crotch. There is absolutely no one who doesn't start laughing. Even if you know that man has been seriously hurt by that, you're still going to laugh. And I think that's just one of those beautiful things that it's been passed down because it's a universal joke.
So I'm so glad you said that, because my next question, this is written in stone here. E, do you watch fail videos on Instagram?
Fail videos.
People falling off bikes and stuff.
I know you do, Jan, because you've shown me some before.
Yeah, I definitely do. Do I frequent them? I probably don't frequent them because I do have a thing about like, I do kind of get wincey when it comes to injuries and things like that. So sometimes I'm like, oh, like I'll see the fail and I'll start laughing. And I'm like, oh no, like, did they get hurt? So I'll have that like that kind of like push and pull feeling. But yeah, if it feels like there was no serious injury or anything like that, then yes, I definitely love them and will laugh at them, for sure.
So I'm on the Soul Pro right here. It's all fail videos. It's all children hurting themselves. I'm just kidding.
That's exactly what that's what I like to promote.
Okay. Jay, how do you pack your hats for the tour? I'm just asking for practical reasons.
Yeah, I don't actually.
I wear a lot of hats.
You need a hat box, and I don't have one. I've actually had to. It's annoying if you have a hat. Like I had a big. Everyone was saying I had the biggest hat on this past tour, and I got it towards the end of the tour. But it's a pain. You have to get a hat box. Yeah. My partner Steph plays a lot of with like in a kind of like this guy Barney Bentel, who's like kind of like a West kind of like he's kind of a country folk artist, and everyone on the tour has a hat box. like everyone shows up, like the key player, the drummer, like everyone's got a hat. Like you just know, like the dressing room is just lined up with hat boxes for their Stetsons and stuff. So that's how you have to do it, unless you want to get a crushable one. But crushable ones don't look as good as cool.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Cool hats, right? So it's a commitment. It's a
Okay.
commitment for a very brief moment in your day.
Yeah, no, this is a practical question. I wear a lot of like baseball hats, and if I got one that I wear plain, whatever. But if let's say I was like somewhere and I bought one, I'm like, what do I do with it? I can't.
Yeah.
I wear both of them then. Eon, how many shirts are you packing for a short tour? Let's say a short tour. How many shirts?
That is exactly the right question. I struggle with this every time. I am a notorious overpacker, but it's partially because I'm a pretty good packer. So like I really like make them pretty small and roll them up and put them in there. So this last tour was 5 shows, which is not that many shows.
Mm-hmm.
When I got home, I opened up my carry-on and I actually counted them because I was like, why did I bring all these shirts? I brought 23 shirts.
23 shirts for 5
23
stops.
shirts. Yeah.
Okay.
So I bring a lot of shirts for some reason. Various shirts. I did. Yeah. Like I had about 4 shirts intended for the stage that didn't make it to the stage because I wore the same 2 or 3. I had a bunch of t-shirts, I had some polo shirts, I had some long sleeve shirts. I had a couple shirts for running in case I was going to run, which I didn't do because I didn't bring any running shoes, so it didn't even make any sense. But yeah, I'm notorious for overpacking because I like options.
Follow-up question for both of you. How many undies are you packing on tour?
Well, for the same package, I had about 14 pairs of underwear.
Oh, so you had 20 something shirts and 14
Yeah.
undies. Okay.
In my
All right.
carry-on, yeah.
I'm
Nice.
glad you asked these questions. Is like that. Now I'm really interested. How many pairs of socks did you bring, Eon?
I think about 12.
0.
Something like that.
Yeah.
0, yeah. I'm a barefooter, yeah. I got tons of clothes.
How many pairs
I
of
don't know
pants? How many pairs of pants did you bring?
That was the problem. Yeah, that was where I was at a deficit. I only had, I think, 3 pairs of pants and only 2 that I would consider wearing on stage. So I kind of had to rewear those a bunch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I underpacked pants, overpacked everything else.
Top hat.
And that's kind of classic Eon right there.
It seems silly, but these are like, as a music like junkie, these are what fans want to know. Is like for real. I'm gonna stand by this. Okay, you can only pick one: The Clash or Toots and the Maytals.
The Clash. And I love Toots. I want to put that out there, but the Clash hands down for me.
Wow, yeah, it's tough. I guess. I mean, I think it's tighter for me,
tough.
but I would, at this point in my life, I would say The Clash as well, just because as much as I love Toots and the Maytals, it was a little bit more of a narrow, musical experience than The Clash, which, Jay really introduced me to when we first met in a big way. And it really opened up a lot of my horizons in terms of the possibilities of what music could sound like, how punk could be defined. And all those things really had a really big impact on me. So at this point, I would say The Clash, but like Jay said, it's pretty tight for me because Toots is part of the family as well, in the sense like I grew up listening to that. My parents still play Toots. Got lots of records, and yeah, the energy of a Toots experience is always just like.
I saw Toots a few times, and they're magical. One time I saw him in Brooklyn. And there was a gentleman up front smoking a cigarette, and he stopped the whole show, and he goes, "Hey, if it's not ganja, you have to put that out." And it was like it was nice but stern. It was I respected it so much, but it was the best thing ever. Oh man, magical. Jay, what's the last thing you painted?
I'm painting right now. I'm doing a series of like older Hollywood
cool
things, and I was I'm doing a painting of, well, I don't consider it's a painting. They're kind of image transfer paintings, but of Ginger Rogers.
Ginger Spice. Okay.
Yeah, of Ginger Spice.
Interesting.
The first Ginger Spice.
Old Hollywood, the Spice Girls. You know.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
90s.
That's cool. And you did the cover, right? Of
Yes, I
the
did.
Hurricane album. It's so fantastic, dude.
Thank you.
We have a
All
couple.
the covers.
You did every single one?
I did.
And
Yeah.
yep.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I don't think
And they're
I
all
realized
paintings too, I think, except for like the horizon, right?
They are. Yeah. I think so. That was a
Yeah.
photo. But yeah.
that. Ah, that's very cool, man.
Yeah.
Because Johnny Goes to New York. We were
Yes.
just talking about the Clash and Toots and stuff. That song's so good. I don't.
Really?
It's not a question. It's just. I love it.
that was
There's no question. We
that was
are
your-
actual giant fans of your music, so there's
That's
going to be.
incredible.
That was your Chris Farley. Remember Chris Farley?
Yes,
Yeah,
the Chris Farley show.
show.
Do you guys
Like
remember?
when he was like, "Do you remember when you were in the Beatles?" It's like, yeah. That was
That was so cool. You know, 12:15 or 12:15, 12:59 Lullaby.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was such a good song.
So speaking of, now we're all a little older. 12:59 a.m. or 12:59 p.m.
I never see 12:59 a.m. anymore, really. So
No.
I don't know. No, should be if it should be 8:59 p.m.
Yeah,
Go to bed.
it should be 8:59 with some show you can ignore and fall asleep to.
Should be
There you go.
7:59 p.m. Yeah, exactly. So,
Oh goodness. Okay, this has some context to it. What's we'll start with you. What's your favorite novel?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. Favorite novel? Tricky one there. There's a few that I really like. I mean, not to change the timbre of everything, but I guess, a novel that had a really big impact on me was Roots by Alex Haley for sure.
Wow,
So
cool.
that definitely springs to mind for sure, in a big way. Yeah, I'll stick with that for now. Yeah.
Man, that's a great answer. I found a copy when I was like 25 of Roots on the subway in New York, and I kept it. I
Way.
still have it somewhere.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah.
Jay, favorite novel?
favorite novel.
Are you looking around? Are you trying to?
No, I'm thinking of like what era, like what would have like an impact.
That's tricky.
Herman, I was gonna say Herman Hesse Damien.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then, but as a kid, the first novel, I mean, I think it would be like Ernest Hemingway, and For Whom the Bell Tolls, I remember just having a massive, I just love the way it was written, like the way it felt when I read it, like the way he wrote. I loved it. Like that was the first time I remember reading something and realizing how words could just, if you had the right rhythm of it, and it could be really short. I mean, Ernest Hemingway has classic, very severe style. And that's the first time I was like, oh, this is amazing. You do so much with words.
Yeah.
It really like, not because you have a lot of them, but just very few.
Well, the reason I asked this, and this is Abby asked if I was going to say this. So I've been working on a novel for 10 years. And since day one, 12:59 Lullaby, there's a lot of music in the novel, and 12:59 Lullaby is in the novel. So this is all full circle.
Wow.
And I don't want to make this about me, but this is a special moment for me. And at some point, whenever it comes out, I'll send you guys a copy.
Wow, that's
Sounds
incredible.
amazing, man.
I'm actually really, that's a huge.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
The main character is with a couple people, and the song comes on, and there's no big I'm just gonna, temper expectations here. There's no big catalog. It's just on,
Yeah, that's amazing thing. Well, good luck with you. That is a huge undertaking.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Life is pretty good. We Abby and I say all the time, man, I can't believe we get to. If you could go back, like again, 20 years ago, young Ryan, young Abby would be flipping out right now.
That's awesome.
They'd be like, "What?"
And again, go ahead.
Okay. If you were, and both of you can, we're on the book thing still. If and when you write a memoir, what would it be called? Jay, I know you wrote a book.
Yeah.
But your memoir in however many years, what would you call it?
Oh.
This is fun.
I don't know. Sorry, I was thinking about there's
Kevin Hearns.
Okay, can I just say, like, I was listening to someone talk about it was one of the first Greek historians. Is it Tacitus? I'm not sure. Anyways, and there was like an epithet. It's like things happened, some things good, some things bad. And that was it. And it was like the most self-evident, like, and I think that might be the description of my life. Some things happen, some things good, some things bad.
That's beautiful.
But it was a life. I think I'm just describing what's going to be on my tombstone. Like, I think, but isn't that's kind of the sad part? I feel like, I could pretend that I deserve a memoir, but I think you could really just succinctly put my life that things happened in it. There was a beginning and an end, and things happened in between.
It's only one page.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Give yourself some credit. You guys have done some cool shit.
Yeah, but in the long term of things, we'll be like, I think they'll just, yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, for sure, we've done some stuff. Yeah.
See, this is I have to point it out. This is the humble Canadian coming out of you.
Yeah.
People will read it. I would read it. Abby would read it. People would read it.
That's cool.
E, what about you?
I'm going to go 2 lines longer than
okay.
That. Right. Things. Okay. The title of my book is Things That Happened.
I like those simple.
Or maybe it's just so far.
So far.
I don't know. Now I'm going like kind of like interested. So far. What do you do, Ian?
Oh man, yeah, I don't know. I'm like,
can I name yours?
Yeah, actually, you should.
Yours is just heartbeats.
There you go. Heartbeats.
You can name mine. I think it's better to have
heartbeats.
Soul Pro heartbeats.
Yeah, by the Soul Pro. By it's
things that happen.
Yeah.
One beat to the next.
Ooh.
The story of Eon's love.
Two hearts beat as one. The story of Bedouin Soundclash.
There you go. Yeah. Tidy foot skanking. How about that? Tidy foot skanking.
I like
that. Was that I can't take credit for that. That's actually another fellow Canadian artist that both Jay and I love, named Cardinal Official, that we're friends with at a show. He kind of said that, oh, the way you dance is like a tidy foot skank. So I was like, I love that. And I'll run with that. Tidy foot skanking, the story of the Soul Pro.
Man, I would read that in a heartbeat. Anytime something pops up on Amazon where it's like punk rock, ska music, I'm like, oh, gotta buy that.
What is your book called, by the way? Do you have a title?
Yeah, good question.
I do. It's called Eating Dirt.
Eating Dirt.
Cool. That's dope.
That's what it's called. Like I said, it's in the process. So maybe this time next year, I'll ask your people for your address. I'll send you a copy.
I would love that. But and then do you feel like you need, because after 10 years, do you have another novel in you at this point?
Well, Yes, I do. I have a couple. I really want to write a practical time travel book where nothing happens, because like everyone is like time travel, and like think about even Back to the Future. The biggest like beef with it's my favorite film. The biggest beef
That's
is
one
like,
of mine,
oh,
too.
he could go back in time. Why doesn't he stop like all the bad stuff? Because he really can't. So like I would love a practical, like a person like me, like an idiot, time traveling, and then someone being like, well, prove that you're from the future. And he's like, I can't. I don't know. Well, one day phones will be in your okay, make it. And I'm like, I can't. They're like, well, what are like there's satellites, and they're like, what is that? I'm like, I don't know, metal in the sky.
So you're basically you're like me or you. We really don't know how anything works. We just know that it could possibly it exists.
Yes.
Like, how does it work though? You're like, I don't know. Someone else made it. I literally fell into the machine by accident. They can't.
I don't.
That's actually pretty cool.
You're like You're the Don Quixote of time travel.
There you go. I think that's where my aesthetic lies too. Is very character study.
Okay.
Overcoming internal strife versus external.
Gotcha.
Novella. That's like that. There's like that classic like novella. What is it? What is the word for it? It was really popular in novella form, but it's like a genre of like the savant idiots, like the savant who's actually creating something way larger than themselves, but is sort of
unaware.
Yeah, unaware. Don Quixote is a good example.
Yeah, I don't know the term, but yeah. And then the other book I really want to write. So Abby and I grew up in Orlando, Florida, and at the time if you asked us back then, at least for myself, I didn't like it. I was like, I got to get out of here. Right. The world, I'm bigger than this place. But now looking back, there was a cool punk rock, ska, reggae scene, which I just didn't appreciate it. So I would love to write a coming of age in the world of Orlando, like to give Orlando the story aside from Disney, aside from that stuff. Yeah.
You know what I think also, and I think that's a pretty common thing. You grow up in a place and you're like, this place is shit and I need to go someplace important because I'm important or would like to be. And then you move back. But the thing is, if you grew up in a place like New York or like London or wherever, how many people have already written the story of that place? Like, you're like, I mean, a lot of people. But when you get to like, that's kind of the beauty of books is like when you get to go inside a place that like Eugene, Oregon, or someplace that you've never,
Yeah.
Eugene, I don't know why I chose that place, but I think we're talking about reggae. I'm thinking of like Sublime and stuff right now, but
what's funny is my brain, I'm so happy you said that because my brain immediately started singing.
Two bands, Rancid. Whenever you think of Oregon, I'm like Rancid, and because they check that place a lot, and they're like Tim Armstrong says like something about Eugene, Oregon, and so does Sublime.
All right, here we go. Let's go around the horn. Everyone do your Tim Armstrong impression. I'm just kidding. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever met him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time we did Warped Tour, Transplants were on, and we got to spend some time with them, and then beyond that, for sure, a couple times.
Yeah, he's. I mean, when we tour with the Interrupters, he's obviously very tight with them, and he came out to the last show of theirs, and when we played LA. Yeah.
And Amy is on the new record.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which is fantastic. I've said it. We will meet in a hurricane. Everyone go listen. Guys, we end every episode with a song from the guest. What song do you want us to end this episode with?
Like one of our songs
from the record? Or?
Yeah. Well, no, it could be any, preferably one of your songs.
Dan Mangan.
Dan Mangan, Robots.
Robots, yeah. There we go.
I only listen to Dan Mangan at home.
It's actually a hidden track at the end.
I want to listen to Dan Mangan.
Yeah, if you play it backwards, it sounds like Robots. Yeah.
That'd be scary if you played Dan Mangan's record backwards and they were really impolite.
They're impolite robots.
That'd be brilliant.
Really impolite. Like you're like, that is offensive, Dan.
Yeah.
Found out that he actually was extremely offensive. That's
Oh
the
my.
that's what I think the problem Canadian, people mean a lot more than they say. And going back to the beginning, Americans at least tell you what's on their mind.
Yeah, it's like
Let's Dan
Canadians and
Mangan.
British people.
You gotta watch out for.
You got to watch out for it.
By the way,
yeah.
I really like Dan Mangan. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
So,
He's a sweetheart.
Yeah, he
I
is.
think that's what makes these funny. Is like
yeah, because he's
Exactly.
so nice.
yeah.
You want to pick one, Jay?
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
Mark.
Well, you guys pick one. Abby, my face hurts from laughing and giggling with you guys. It's a very
Mine
good
does too, to
feeling.
be honest. Yeah, mine does too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, should we play we just were talking about Amy and it's the single. Why don't we play our track with Amy from the Interrupters, Walk Through Fire? Off the album.
I love it. Writing it down in ink.
Awesome.
Just the other, and this is Abby's favorite question. Do you follow Bothering the Band on Instagram?
No.
Please do.
Not yet.
Please do across the board. This is
Yeah.
our like a weird device for us to shamelessly plug ourselves and you guys. We already know Eon is the Soul Pro, Bedouin Soundclash. Jay, what's yours? I know we follow you. What is
At Jay Malinowski, just my name.
Oh, it's just your name. Yep.
Happening.
It's
There
all
it is.
happening.
Following.
I don't have my phone
Following.
on me.
Let's try to find
There you
one of
go.
these hats.
Followed by Dan Mangan Music. Interesting.
Oh, you did. Yeah, see, that's how you know Dan Mangan's polite. He like followed you guys.
I know.
Interesting.
The rest of the you should
Shout-
mention the rest of the
shout-
artists. The rest of the artists were like, yeah, okay, so thanks for the interview.
You got Shadrach
Dan
Cabango too.
Mm-hmm.
You got Shadrach Cabango and Nelson Sobral. You
Wow.
guys interviewed Nelson.
Nelson.
Interesting. Do you know Nelson? Interesting. He's following you guys. He's a cool little Toronto, Toronto artist that I know. That's cool. Nice
Dude,
stuff.
I'm telling you, we have
We
cool
love
people.
Canada.
We love Canada.
It's evident. I like it.
We have a buddy of mine, friend of the podcast, lawyer of the podcast, Adam Santiago. Shout out. He will listen to this. He makes fun of me all the time because I'll send him a band. He goes, "Are they Canadian?" Like every single time I'm like, "Listen to this band." He's like, "Are they Canadian?" And I would say 75% of the time, I'm like, "Yes, they are." There's just so much good music like coming out. It's insane, dude. It's so great.
I don't know why that is, actually. It's a good question. Why there's so many bands.
I mean, do you think it's the weather? Do you think it's I don't know.
I have a theory about why.
Let's hear
it. Because we were all on hardcore bands before we started.
it.
No, we all were, but like, no, I think it's because there is so much subsidy to Canadian acts. And when I talk to people I know in the States who are like in great bands in their 20s, there isn't the same amount of support. It's like a really bigger pond you're pulling from, and you're like in the biggest market in the world. It's sort of like, I feel like going to like, let's say you're somewhat talented, but you're maybe not, you shouldn't be amongst like the like top end people yet, because you're still developing yourself maybe. And I think there's a little more room for that in Canada, for people to like stick around and make more records and not have to worry about.
That's true. I agree.
As much.
Not having to hit these like bulleted milestones.
Yeah, well, I think it's
Exactly.
the same as like Sweden is a great example of a where there's a lot of societies has a lot of pros, like subsidies,
Support.
I'm staying away from the word socialism, because it does not have the same meaning that it seems to have in everywhere else. But social programs. So anyways, and as a result, if you listen Sweden has more producers and artists coming out of it than, they songwriters like crazy. So
Yeah, it's true.
yeah.
Looks like we got to tap into Sweden now.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're going to do, this is second to last question. We have to do this individually. Okay. Whoever wants to go first. if you could interview any musician, live or dead, in the vein of bothering the band, who would you bother, and what really silly question would you ask them?
Okay. I think I can go with that.
Okay.
I would definitely interview, like, my all-time favorite singer is Sam Cooke.
Oh,
And
love.
so I would definitely want to bother him and find out a lot more about him personally, but I would want to know how he felt about how he felt about Bobby Womack in the band, and like how tight they were, because history dictates that it got a little bit slippery at the end there, and in posthumous in his posthumous days, Bobby hooked up with his wife, and there's
Yeah,
a lot of
that's
friction
right.
during the time. So I would be interested in knowing if he was aware of that, or how he felt about it at the time.
Good. That's dude. Sam, A Change Gonna Come is my all-time favorite song ever.
Yeah, it's
And
incredible.
I was just on another podcast, and they asked me, they're like, "You host a music, what's your favorite song of all time?" And that was my Sam
Really?
Cooke, man. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah, there you go.
Fucking- That's a
Beautiful
great
song.
question too. That's not even silly. That's like hard hitting.
Yeah, I guess that's a little bit too hard hitting. Yeah, that's probably not bothering him. It's a little
Meanwhile,
bit
I'm
too
like,
close to home.
I'd be like, this is how I'm just, dumb. I'd be like, Sam, what are you cooking tonight or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Jay,
Yeah.
what do you got?
I don't know.
Hardcore band?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's all I listen to. It's hardcore music. This is all for my bio, by the way, just so people write bio.
Let's go change his Wikipedia right now.
Yeah, he mentioned his hardcore band in an interview on a podcast once. I don't know. Who would I if I was to? Okay, so I can interview a musician and ask him a zany question.
Yeah,
but he has to be dead.
No, I said live or
No.
dead.
Alive or dead? Okay.
Yeah.
And it could be a she. You said he.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, no. Yeah, okay.
RuPaul, whatever you want.
Yeah, I was thinking RuPaul.
I don't know. One person I actually like. I mean, we mentioned the Clash. The Joe Strummer was someone I really would have loved to have met. I don't know. There's something. I think he had that. There was something about he just seemed still interested, even to the time he was, to the end of his life. He seemed like just interested in music and culture, and it seemed like so many people connected to his spirit, the way he conducted himself in life, and like he was as popular in America as he was in the UK. Like there's not many artists that kind of are like that, that are so, he's so from England, but it connected with people. He had a Johnny Cash kind of vibe to him too. So I don't know. I think I always would have wanted to meet him. And I say that even with, I sort of don't want to meet any of my heroes ever. I want to just keep them as they are, and not, from experience, I don't really, I would be really interested in what he thinks about the world today, though.
Yeah.
Because I think things have shifted so immensely. If you and shown him, I think, given that his politics were so important to him, and so it's obviously so important to the Clash, I would be interested in knowing if you just, without any context, be like, this is what it's like right now. What would you think? What do you think of it? That'd be fast. I mean, you could do that to anyone in history. If you're like, what do you think? You'd be like, oh, this is really different than I thought it'd be.
No, but I agree with you. I know Abby does too. Like we hold him so high. My kid even gravitates towards the Clash. I bought her a shirt last Hanukkah that says like, listen to Joe Strummer.
Yeah.
So it's cool. We're in the suburbs, and love the Clash.
Yeah.
And Final question. What does the future hold for Bedouin Soundclash?
Well, we're about to do a tour with the Interrupters throughout the US. I shouldn't say the whole US to you guys, because we're going from New York to San Diego. We are skipping Florida and Texas.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. And then
Well, please come to South Florida
yeah.
or Central Florida, any Florida. We'll make it up.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
Do it. We'll play the social.
Perfect.
That's
There you go.
that's really close to us.
We'll buy you coffee. Abby will drive us around.
No,
That
it
sounds
actually
safe and
worth
good.
the
That sounds good.
Anything else you want to throw out there? Tell the people about,
No, I think we covered everything in my life.
Thank you so much for your time. Abby, do you want to say anything? This has been pretty fun. Aww.
Thanks so much. No, thank you guys. This is really fun. We had a good time too.
Yeah, guys, I just to geek out a little bit, this means the world to us. We have been big fans of your music for a very long time. Thank you for your time and all the amazing music and laughing and being goofballs with us. You said don't meet your heroes. We just met a couple of our heroes and they have similar sensibilities. So, booyah.
Well, let me say that when you finished your book, which I think you should finish soon.
Yeah.
It's finished. It's shop. I'm
finished.
Shopping. It's finished. I'm shopping.
Oh, you're shopping. Okay, good. Then send. I would love send a copy whenever it's.
Definitely.
I certainly will. And that's our show. Bothering the Band this has been an honor. I don't even know how to wrap this one up. Thank you guys.
No,
Thank you
both. Yeah.
Heaven knows we walk through fire and flame. We could have used some rain, but I guess it's the same. We'll build it just to burn it again. Hail up to the man at arms. He's gone to putting holes in people's hearts. He's bound to get a better view of walls that he can see right through. And it's a setting sun when money leaves on the first of the month. Something I could look into, something that was overdue. But the boys only brought fire and flame. We could've used some rain, but I guess it's the same. We'll burn it and we'll build it again. We'll burn it and we'll build it again. Hail up to the Queen of Hearts. She's gonna making everyone a star. Man, it's like you see right through the void that's staring back at you. I leave the TV on. These days it sounds like 60s protest songs, but the boomers left the babies' hearts and been replaced with government bonds. But people walk on water these days, but they might need that flame on the coastline again, so they can touch the ground someday. Lord knows we walk through fire and flame. We could've used some rain, but I guess it's the same. We'll burn it and we'll build it again. We'll burn it and we'll build it again. Annabelle, the apple rolls to you. Man, I know the world is so blue. I've got to go, yeah, I've got to go. I've got to find a better view. I've got to know, I've got to know, I've got to know if it is you. Heaven knows we walk through fire Fly